Okay. Good afternoon to all. Before we go to the next, yeah, before we go to the, we move on to the next topic. Please put forward your queries or your doubts. Of course, a couple of students have asked me through email. I have given my responses to them, but so let me give you some time, 5 to 10 minutes here. If you have any doubts, please put forward. Don't feel shy. Don't get hesitated. And you need not worry about what teacher may think or what your friends are thinking like that. Please come forward with your doubts. If you have any queries, please let me know regarding the week 1. So in week 1, let me remind you, we started with introduction to HTML and then followed by introduction to cascading style sheets. So basically this week is on giving you the introduction to how do we design a web page or a web application. So this is basically on the designing only. So far, we have not come across the development of those web applications or web pages. So development comes basically you write a programming code on how these web elements are to be behaved or how the behavior of those elements will takes place. So that is basically on the web development. So your elements gets processing of the data, which is can be on the real time and of course on the dynamic nature of those web pages. So the development usually involves writing the programming codes such as the JavaScript language, jQuery, JSONs, and your of course the other programming tools you'll use it to process those data which has been collected by those elements. The first unit is basically on the design aspect only. So in that process, we have, I think you might have done some programming exercises. So if I can see the status, of course, so far only 12 of them have submitted. So submissions are only 12 and of course there are 2 in the draft. So I can assume that around out of 71 participants, only 12 of them are submitted by till yesterday. And of course, another 1 day time is given for you so that at least by tomorrow, please complete your week 1 exercises. So first week exercises are basically on the design aspects of your web page using your HTML and CSS. So those who are beginning their career in this web pages, you should get a thorough understanding about what is an HTML, what are the different tags or the different elements of an HTML, and how do we design a web page, and of course, and how do we arrange your elements or the components of a web page in a proper structured manner, in a hierarchical manner, and of course, uh, how do you decorate your elements. The decoration of those elements of your web page comes through your cascading style sheets. So this is just an introductory part that we started in the last week. So of course, these are the set of exercises, around 10 exercises. Exercises are given more in number. It doesn't mean that you need to do rigorous exercises, but the purpose of giving those exercises is various aspects of designing a web page will come to know when you try to solve those exercises. So that is the purpose for you to understand various features of web designing. Of course, this is not a complete uh, knowledge that we are trying to impart to you, but nevertheless, it will be useful for you to start with building up your own web pages. Any doubts, please, for the last class?
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. Please
Sir,
proceed.
I would like to know this Wildcats mailing system. I don't get what is it. Wildcat
Okay.
system
Yeah.
10,000.
So the exercise which is given for the wildcat mailing is, let me just open the exercise for you so that it will be easy for you to understand again. So the wildcat is nothing but just a name to the application which is being given. So this is the purpose of this one is, see here, you need to understand how do you design an email message composition, in the sense that when you see a mail composition like our, see you're seeing an email here. So when you compose this email, this compose of this email contains certain components here. If
Yes,
you
sir.
see, there is in the top you see a new message, and in the bottom you see there is a to field, and here you have a subject, and of course here you have a carbon copy and you have a blind carbon copy. Okay, so this is a text box that will ask you to enter some addresses here. Okay, the addresses are something like this, and I am giving a sample address here. So you know what is a carbon copy? In your emails, I'm just taking the Gmail example here. Do you know the purpose of carbon copy and blind carbon copy? May I know, get some response here, please? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so
I
just
don't have any idea, sir.
see, carbon copy, whatever is the message that you are trying to type it here on this compose section. So the same message along with the contents that you are going to attach will also be uh, copied onto the other addresses. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
And the blind carbon copy, the difference between carbon copy and the blind, B stands for blind here. So whatever the addresses you are typing on the BCC, that those addresses are not known to these people who are being sent to NCC. It is hidden. Those addresses are hidden as compared to CC and to addresses.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So in our communication process, you are exchanging the data. So you are trying to send some data through this email. You're exchanging some information. Now, this information exchange sometimes you may send that information to the hidden people, so that the other people doesn't know that the other peoples are also going to be known to this. Who are those other people? So there is a difference between CC and a BCC. BCC stands for blind carbon copy, which is basically hides the details or the hides those address details to whom that particular information is being sent. Are you clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now you have to design a similar, see, this is like a web page now. What you see here is you have a to field, you have a CC field, you have a BCC field, you have a subject here, and below the subject, you have the actual message. You need to type it here. So this entire contains, and finally at the bottom, you see there is a send button. And other formatting, these are the other formatting tools. If you see at the bottom of your screen, so you can have the formatting tools. What is the font style? What, whether it should be italicized or underscored, or your colors you want to put, or you want to put some links, or you want to attach some files. These are all the other formattings that formats that needs to be given along with your message. So you should also be able to design a similar page like this. That is the first number one is design. Design means these elements has to be arranged. Your to field and your CC field and your BCC field and your subject field and the actual message field. So like this, your email message is composed with so many fields, so many attributes, so many other components. Once you click the send, of course, the mail server which is running on your computer along with your internet connection, that mail is going to be sent to so and so parties. So here, but basically this is email is to be sent. Now, at this stage, during the first week, you just to prepare a web page or an interface which consists of these components through your web components only. So later, after your JavaScript is done and now your jQuery is done, then I will tell you how to send mails to your friends from your design interface. Okay, so that comes, yeah, you just keep your design ready at this moment. So after 2 to 3 weeks, then I will tell you what are the different protocols that are being used here, which are going to send your data, and what is the function that is available to send your data or your email to your friends. So that working example of sending the mail, that you'll come to know in the later stage. But as of now, you please design your web page. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Any other queries, please? Okay. Coming to this, whatever the question here is, wildcards. So this question is basically you have to compose and send an email. Of course, I use the word send an email. That only in the later stage you will do the sending process. But at this moment, you just prepare your web page so that it satisfies the following requirements. So your email interface or your compose message should have your to field, and of course that should be to followed by the actual value for this to should be separated by a semicolon, and the course submission address, something like whatever the address you are giving, like your SCIS or your my own email address, you can give it. And you should have a subject field. In the subject field, you have to enter the assignment 1, something like this, of course with your last name, and you should have a body of your message, and each that body of the message will give some details about yourself. And some other details like what is your experience on the networking, or how do you tell about, so blah blah. You have to write some text about yourself or whatever you like to send the message. So the body message must consist of at least 3 paragraphs of at least 3 sentences each. Means some set of characters and some set of words should be there in your body message. So you at this moment you need to just to prepare it, compose it, and design it, and keep it. The source code you keep it. Later we will see how to send that email. You will write the backend code. The backend code will help you to send the data. So at this moment, I will not tell the backend process immediately. I don't want to go in a ad hoc manner. So we'll go step by step. Just keep it ready for the next thing. Okay. Any other queries, please, on these things? Are you able to understand how do you design your web pages like this?
Yes,
a web page having instead of frames. Okay, now my question is, I will ask you the question one by one. Okay, am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So what is the disadvantage of a frame? Please come forward, anyone. Or do you want me to ask by name?
It is a lack of flexibility.
It is a lack of flexibility. Can you please elaborate a little bit more, Subham? What do you mean by flexibility here?
In normal web pages, we write one HTML script that will handle everything. For the each frame, we are adding different HTML files, and
yeah, I understand your point. So for each frame, you are going to write different scripts. But for a one, normally we write one entire web page. But the answer, that is what not I'm expecting. I'm expecting a better answer than this. What can be the main disadvantage of using frames? Can anyone try, please?
So it is not currently used. It is deprecated.
Yeah, of course it is deprecated.
And is replaced by iframe.
Yes, it is. I only told last week it is replaced by frame. But what is the problem that you foresee when you use frames?
There might be need to load more than one pages while referencing only a single address.
You are also on that flexibility only, Subramaniam. Yeah.
Okay.
but still I'm expecting a better answer and a more accurate answer.
Sir, I read somewhere that these frames are not supported by every browser.
Yes, of course, because they are deprecated, they are not in use, they are not supported by browsers. Again, okay, let me give you the answer. Of course, 4 or 5 people have tried. It's a good try only, but it's not a bad try. The thing here is the frames, when you use frames on the web pages, yes, the frames are being very static in the nature, in the sense that nowadays, if you see, many of your web applications are going to be run on your mobile devices. So your web pages has to run on your mobile device, your web page has to run on your laptops, your web page has to run on your desktops, your web page has to run on your tablets. It means your web pages are to be displayed on various types of devices. So your web pages has to be rendered. Rendered means it has to be processed and it has to be displayed on various display types. And various display types are of various sizes. Sizes, when I say the screen size, the output screens. The output screens is the most important thing here. The output screens means the display, the content that you are going to display. The web page contents are to be displayed on different output devices, on different screens. And when you use frames on your web pages or web applications, your display properties or your display characteristics is not going to be fit onto various sizes of display units. So mobile device, the 6-inch, 7-inch screens are not suitable enough to display your frames. If you put 4 or 5 frames in a particular web page, so all 4 frames cannot be seen on your mobile device. Your mobile device itself is a very small screen, 6 inches, 7 inches screen of your smartphones. Similarly, sometimes you may not see all your frames on your laptops, on your laptop screen. So much of the information is lost. The users cannot see the complete information if you are using frames. That's why for the last decade, almost from the last 10 years, frames are now outdated. But nevertheless, they are there. For small applications, when you write some small web applications on electronic devices, frames are going to be useful. If you are having a fixed size of frames, depending on your applications, sometimes frames may be useful. For majority of the applications, frames are not considered apt for designing your web pages, because they are not suitable to display your web contents easily and cannot be user friendly if you are using your web pages to be displayed on different or variety of output screens. So that is the reason for not preferring for frames. Am I clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you have any doubts, please, if you have any queries, please let me know. Don't hesitate to, the more the interaction, that will be better for us, for our discussions. I hope you have, at least most of you have started attempting it, because there are 70 and only 12 students have made an attempt of those exercises. I hope the other 60 students, at least you are able to now do some exercises for you. Are you
Yes,
able
sir.
to do your exercises on your own for the first week's exercises? If you have any difficulty, please let me know now only in the starting stage itself, so that we can tune properly for the later stages.
Sir, in the 6th question, I have a little doubt.
Yes, please. 6th question, Ali Akbar, just hold on. I will open the file for you.
Okay, sir.
Sorry, just hold on. 6th question. Yeah, create the following frame formats using CSS. I'm asking. Yes, please. Yes.
Sir.
Yeah. What is your doubt?
So using CSS, I couldn't find anything relevant like using CSS, because it's particularly HTML only, right? When we are doing anything with frames. Oh.
Okay, then I think you are not clear about what is CSS, if I am correct.
Yes, sir.
So CSS, what is CSS stands for? Cascading Style Sheets. So here you are going to prepare your web page like this formats. Of course, the word frame is used here in this question to make you to understand that the web page is divided into different portions or different segments. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So yes. So when you dividing the web page into different segments or different portions of your web pages, you can use CSS, and you can make use of those CSS features to divide your web page. Instead of going for frame sets, you are going for CSS.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So you don't look for the solutions on the net. Please logically think on your own. Okay. So don't search it for you try to. That is the actual purpose, is to make you to have some thinking or make you have some thought process of doing on your own. These things doesn't require you to get solutions from the net. Of course, some of you may try to get some codes for this and immediately complete it, but that will not help you in the long run. Please remember. I sincerely advise you, and I humbly request you all to put your thought process into practice rather than looking for solutions on the net. If your thought process, or if you are increasing your thought process, then definitely you'll do a better job in the later stages. Because that is what exactly required here. Okay. Yeah. Any other queries, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a doubt in 9A question, sir. 9A.
Question number 9A. Question number 9A is basically,
In that, if we click on a hyperlink, let's say objective, it should display the output, the relevant output in 2 frames at a time, right, sir?
you are talking about 9A, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here you are having, see, this is basically you are building your own portfolio web page here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Your name, you means something, your portfolio means, what is in the portfolio? You are building your own website, something like that. For that, you are preparing your own web page. So here you try to put your name, and if you want to put some tagline, you can put there. Now, when you click here in the objective, that objective has to be displayed here.
Yes, sir.
And if you want to put your objective in a pictorial representation, that you have to commit in the other second frame.
Yes, sir. Actually, my doubt was that, sir. I mean, generally we have target to give the output with respect to a frame, but to give output with respect to 2 frames at a time.
Yeah. So yes, very good question. I think other people have not. So usually this you can do it through your JavaScript programming that we are going to come in the next unit through
Yes, sir.
programming.
Actually, you
Yes,
told
we have
only
not
CSS.
discussed the JavaScript at this moment, but you can just put it at this moment. You just keep it for the only one particular frame at this stage.
Okay, sir.
Later
Thank
you can later you can improve those things in the later stages. The topics, when the topics goes on, you can improve all those exercises by adding more features and other set of things.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So for all of you, I'm telling once again, whatever the exercises you are doing, it is not a completely output that is what expected from you at this stage. Slowly you will be adding more and more features to this. It keeps on. More exercises will be given. More features are also going to be added upon to these existing things. It is like a step by step. You try to add more things to these existing things in the later stages when the topics goes on after your JavaScript. JavaScript comes in your second unit, and the later you'll see jQuery, JSONs, and all will come in the third, fourth unit like this. So when we discuss further the latest other technologies, then you try to improvise the existing things in a better way. Okay. Yeah. That is a point. And slowly we'll come to understand how these things goes on. Any other queries, please? Okay, let us go for the today's discussion. If you have any queries, again you can post it to me. No worries, I'll get back to you. So let us go to the, of course, this is also introduction to cascading style sheet, but this is a continuation to the last week. So here in this topic, we'll understand about CSS classes, how different classes. So what is a class? Can I get some response from anybody? What do you mean by class in terms of object-oriented programming? In your own words, just to refresh yourself, please. Yes, Tawab, please, can you speak a little bit more?
It is a
Hello.
blueprint do you hear me, sir?
I am. Your connection is lost. I think your words are not coming properly. Yeah, it is a real-world object. You mean to say? I hope you are trying to say it is a blueprint of the real-world object. Yeah, it is a blueprint. Yes, it is a blueprint for what? Okay, see, basically your class, technically speaking, your class consists of your properties or your member operators. For the structure of the program, it's not exactly the structure of the program. It's basically information of an entity, a physical entity or a physical object. So any object you take it, the object will have certain characteristics. Along with the characteristics, you can also have certain kinds of functionalities. So you have an object which contains certain member methods and as well as your member variables. Technically speaking, if you look to the object-oriented programming, your object will have your member variables, the variables which are going to use for your have the characteristics to be processed properly, and the different behaviors of that object which are being realized in terms of methods. So, class contains this structure, whatever you call it a structure of the particular object, containing your variables and methods. So similarly, in cascading style sheets, you can also make use of these class and methods concepts so that they can be easily applied, they can be easily manipulated, they can be easily implemented onto our web elements. Web elements means our HTML elements or your HTML components. So here let us see in this small discussion, what is this classes and ID selectors? So what are classes? A class is a user-defined selector. You can create a class to apply a style rule to a specific HTML tag, and using CSS class, you can control your individual HTML formattings and elements properties. So classes are defined by dot. So the member operator here is the dot. There are two methods of writing the class. The first one is by indicating the HTML followed by a dot, and otherwise the second one is by writing the class name preceded by a dot. So see here on the right side of my screen, you are using P stands for your basically the HTML element paragraph. The HTML element paragraph dot, you are giving the class name as your blueprint, and the definition for this your blueprint or your blue font, it is given here, which is giving you the color characteristic here. So the blueprint is nothing but your blue font in this context, which gives you the structure. Then the characteristic is your color, the characteristic or the attribute color, and the corresponding value is blue. So blue is nothing but the value for this attribute color, attribute, or you can call it as characteristic. And these values are being defined in this particular structure with the open floor brace and a closing floor brace. So with having the blueprint of the structure name as your blue font, and this particular blue font class name is basically belonging to a HTML element called P. So this is how you are going to just define. This is one method of giving your CSS class name. Similarly, you can, the other method is just trying to simply give the dot followed by the structure name or the blueprint name, like something called red font, where inside that you define color to be of red color. So this is something like giving a class names here. So Why we use classes? A class must be called in the HTML file for it to be used. And of course, you are doing it by putting the class attribute in the tag you want to style and the class name as its value. So the blue font in the class name of a blue font, and red font is the class name of the red font. You can say those are the structure names, or those are your class names, or those are your blueprints, or whatever it may be, you can call it as. So now class selectors. So here we have seen paragraph P, that which is going to be HTML basically. So here we are giving, this is what type of CSS styling, please? And can anyone tell me? CSS stylings can be done in 3 ways. That's what you have seen in the last week. Can anybody respond? In this example, what type of styling class is there? Is this one?
Internal CS.
In Python.
Internals.
Yeah, so it is internal. You are describing, or you are defining your class within the head section on the same HTML file. So you can call it as inline, you can call it as internal. Yes, in the head section, you are just giving, of course, this is just a title, class, and ID, something like this. But inside this head, you are giving a style type as your CSS. That's what the syntax, text/CSS. Of course, this is the comment, exclamation mark followed by hyphen hyphen. And of course, this is a comment statement. And in between them, you are giving the class selector t.blue, which is color of blue. And where P is defined, or P has been used in your body section. So this is what your class selector, and which is applied in the body. So class is equal to blue, and your class is equal to blue. You are just printing those paragraph values. Like this, you are going to get, this is one paragraph, creative design, and the second paragraph is web design. So those 2 paragraphs are, of course, here just only a single line. They are given in the blue colored text. Here, most of the time, you need to play with ID, the element ID or the component ID of your web page. Please remember, every element of the web page has got an ID. A paragraph, you can give an ID. Your HTML page, you can give an ID, HTML element. So all those, your list items, your pop-down elements, your buttons, every element of your HTML can be identified with an ID selector. So in the CSS also, when I say CSS also means along with the HTML element IDs, in CSS too, we can use those IDs which you are defined in the HTML page itself. So those ID selectors is a style applied to one element in a page. It is normally used once, usually in a page title or in the navigation part of the page. An ID selector is defined by an hashtag. You need to put your ID element followed by the hashtag and use the ID attribute of your HTML. Please remember, it is not advisable to start an ID selector with a number. Please remember, that is what the rule. Numbers are not being used. You are to use the text, the characters, you need to use it when you are giving some IDs to elements of your web page. So something like this, you can see here, H1 is what your H1 is your heading 1. That heading 1 has given an ID here, and that ID is equal to red. So you are giving this is what, without numbers, just simply characters, you are given an identifier to your H1 tag. So this red, and that is the definition you are giving what the H1 hash red color should be having. Of course, the attribute, the color is going to be in the red color. That's what you are defined. So you can reference to these components. These are your H1 P. In this example, this is your P. So this is an ID element. Of course, the paragraph P is been given as a class identifier here. So there are 2 ways. Every element can be easily or uniquely identified. One is with your ID, another with your class. So this is a class example which you have seen in the previous example, and your ID is another one which you can get it. So now there is another something called as pseudo classes. In CSS, a class which is also resembling to the existing previous class. Pseudo classes are defined by a colon and are not user defined. Please remember. So specific pseudo classes can be used on specific HTML elements only. So the anchor element has 4 pseudo clauses, something like the link in which the user has to press or click that link. And once he clicks that link, it will be changing the color. It will be a link color will be changed to visited, or if you put your mouse pointer on that link, it can be hover, or if it is an active link or not. So there are four different classes, pseudo classes, which the anchor tag is going to have. Each one affects the behavior of the anchor element. That's what each one will tell you what exactly happened with those links the user has behaved. So the link pseudo clause is for hyperlinks that have not yet been visited. Simply this link is going to be a link which is available on the web page. So once it is visited, it has been changing to another color. Once it is hover, it is changing to another color. And once it has been active, it is still in web page is in browsing state. It will be in active state. So that pseudo class is for the hyperlinks when they are clicked. So here something like this, one example is given. So here you can see a link is the element here which is referring to. Can anybody tell me what type of style sheet that we are using here? What type of style here? This is basically an external link. So external CSS. This is another way of linking to your external file. So your CSS is some other file. Excuse me. Your CSS is some other file which is on the same folder or same path where your HTML file is also there, and it is referring to this particular file. So that is basically a style sheet. So that's what this is the syntax we need to specify. So it is basically you're linking to an external file. And now if you see it in the body section, you have four hyperlinks: ahref, link a.html. So you're giving this is the value, and link A, link B, link C, link D, and you're closing those links here. But what is the definition of A? The definition of this A, the pseudo class A, is defined. You can see those are the pseudo classes which you are defined in your CSS file. So the normal A link has got a font family, font size, font weight, color, and the line height. And the link and the visitor, the pseudo clauses, are being given with the different set of values. Once the user clicks those links, what should be there? And once the user visits those links, what is the color should be there for those links. So something like this: link A, link B, link C, link D. So if you want, you can see more CSS classes and the ID selectors with the ID name and as well as with the class names on this particular website. So this is one thing. Yeah, please let me know if you have any doubts here. Before we move on to the next topic. Yeah, any queries, please?
Sir?
Yes, please.
There, in this slide, there was a CSS something like p.blue. So
The class name, yeah, p.blue, blue font.
For that, if I use that blue class in h1 tag, it won't work, or it will work.
Let me just open the 1 second. What is your dot exactly? Are you referring to this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
yes,
p.blue. If I use this in h1 tag class equal to blue, and will it work?
h1.blue. You want to use h1.blue?
Okay, I have to define for h1 separately.
Yes, of course. Yes, for h1 is one element, p is another element. Here you are defining for only p here at this moment. You are not defined for h1 blue.
Okay.
So of course, this you for every element you need to define what exactly you want to appear. So CSS is meant for how those elements are going to be appeared, how the elements are going to be shown to the user. That is how. Whereas this HTML gives you what. Please understand what the meaning of what and how. How is given by a CSS and what is given by HTML.
What is the difference, sir? We have used class, and in H1 we used ID, but both are performing the same. What is the difference in real?
One is the ID is one particular division. Division in the sense that, see, this is combined to only this H1 only. That is a specific ID is specified over there. If you have a group of values, please see here carefully. See here, P class is equal to blue, P class is equal to blue, P class is equal to blue. These are all group of values
Okay, sir.
of different paragraphs.
Yes, sir, I get it.
Yeah, so that's what in the beginning I asked, what is the meaning of a class? So class contains all your objects, similar properties are going to be grouped together. Your class contains your member variables and your methods, which are been having a common characteristics of different objects. So for each object, what are the common characteristics of those objects are put under one particular structure called as class. That's what your friend is calling now, it is as a blueprint. So class is having a blueprint of creative design, web design, animation, and multimedia. Like this here, if you see in the fourth one, there is no class here. Visual Basic and Access, and Office Productivity and MS Office. So they are not grouped together. Whereas the upper P class is equal to be blue, P class is equal to blue, P class is equal to blue, they have been grouped together.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So proceeding to the next topic, this responsive web design is not there in your syllabus. Hello? Yeah, I'm audible to you all, please.
Yes,
See,
sir.
yeah. Responsive web design as such is not prescribed in your syllabus, but I would like to cover, and it will be there in your examinations too. Please remember, in your mid examinations and final examination also if required. So all your examinations and your assignments also include responsive web design. So don't think that it is not in the syllabus, you should not be studying. Okay. So let us see what is this responsive web design is. Okay, tell me what is the meaning of responsiveness? Respond. Basically, yeah. Somebody is trying to say yes, please.
I mean, different format with respect to some work done. Right? It's
Yes.
like work and action like that.
Yes. So some kind of you do some work or you do some action, and accordingly for that action or the work you get some response. Yes. This is very general, very good answer. But no doubt when you come to the web design. So our topic is, our context here is your web pages and your web applications. And moreover, we are at the design stage of our web pages and your web applications. So what does this web design means? So you design a web page or a web application in such a way that that web design of that particular web page or web application is going to be equally responding irrespective of the rendering of that particular web page. So what I mean to say is that responsiveness is equally done on a different set of devices in which your web page is going to be rendered, or web page is going to be used, or web page is going to be executed. So simple example, let us see something like nowadays, as I told you in the beginning of the session, most of your web pages, web applications are going to be run on your mobiles, on your tablets, on your desktops, on your laptops, or on a different set of electronic gadgets. So different devices are there. Different devices means different sizes of screens are also there. Different output screens are also there. So your responsive web design is about creating websites which automatically adjust themselves to look good on all devices, from small phones to large desktops. So you design a website or your web pages. Those web pages should be such that the design of those web pages should be in such a way that it should look good in all devices in which it is going to be rendered, in which it is going to be used, or in which it is going to be executed. It can be from small screen size of your mobile phone to large desktops. So for that, the responsive web designs, usually there is one software framework. The software framework is called as Bootstrap. Now this Bootstrap is the most popular HTML, CSS and JavaScript, of course. Later you'll see in the second unit what is this JavaScript is meant for. But as of now, I think you have at least seen what is HTML and CSS. So we will continue with this. That's why I just brought in the bootstrapping at this stage, because in the design stage, because most of your websites development, your web page developments, designing and development requires your bootstrap knowledge too. Of course, this is not there in the syllabus, but anyway, it will help you to prepare and design good web pages. So that's the thing which I brought it in here. So Bootstrap is the most popular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework for developing responsive, basically mobile first websites, basically for your mobile devices too. And Bootstrap is completely free, and you can download it and use it. That's what you can have the open source one. So this Bootstrap is basically a front-end framework. Please remember, it is a front-end. It is basically meant to be used in front of the user. So the users always will be appreciating your application. They will appreciate means they will understand your application very easily and very effectively only once you design it in a proper way. So your web element should not be cluttered. Your web element should not be disorganized in your web pages. Your web element should be properly placed, properly visible. Your font styles, your colors, your organization of your web elements. These are all the important things. Please do remember, I am telling you in the beginning stage itself. So please remember, do understand this web designing principles properly. In the last week's session, I have given you some notes here. I hope everybody has seen these notes. The notes which is related to this. So key concepts for web design and development. I hope everybody has gone through these notes once again. So what are these? See, how do you structure your web pages? There must be a hierarchical nature. Please remember, if I am in a particular, suppose like there is a website which contains your home page and your shopping and your blogging and your frequently asked questions and contact us. And if you are in the frequently asked questions web page, you should be able to navigate to home page easily. It means you should be able to go back to the main page, or you should go back to your peers page, or you can go back to some other page. So navigation is all important. Please remember, not only navigations, the other important concepts, the principles when you're designing your pages, all this I have just please put down very points. This is what website must be easily navigable and accessible. The structure of the website page layout should be having a good navigation. So please read all these points. Each point is very important here. Don't skip those important things in the beginning stage when you're developing the web pages. So when you're the same thing, the point why I come back to this is, so you have to be careful when you're designing your web pages. So this Bootstrap software is going to be useful for you to design very quickly, very faster. Faster means very quickly and very easier. You can include in your web pages, and your web elements looks very user friendly. So Bootstrap includes HTML and CSS based design templates for your typography, for your forms, for your buttons, for your tables, for your navigations, for your models which you want to implement in your web pages, for image carousels and many others, as well as optionals for your JavaScripts if you are trying to execute some programs on those elements. Bootstraps also gives you the ability to easily create responsive designs. So these responsive designs will enable for your web page to be displayed on your mobile device easily, as well as on your laptop, on your desktops, and so on and so forth. So if you look to a little bit of history of bootstrapping, this basically developed by Mark Otter and Jacob Thornton in the year 2011 as an open source. It has come. So basically for the Twitter and the GitHub kinds of stuff. From that point, the Bootstrap has come into picture for the last 10 years. So of course, this is very easy to use. Anybody with just a basic knowledge of HTML and CSS can start using the Bootstrap. So you have to go with this Bootstrap now. So since you already have gone through the HTML and CSS, so you can use the Bootstrap from now onwards easily. And Bootstrap's responsive CSS adjusts to your phones, tablets, and desktops. So in Bootstrap 3, so at present Bootstrap 5 level is there. The latest one you will have Bootstrap 5. If you go to their website, you can see the latest one. But what I suggest you all is please practice the Bootstrap 3 and 4, not 5. Bugs are there in the 5 version. You may not get what you require. And of course, whatever the web pages you design, they're compatible with Chrome, Firefox, Explorer, Safari, Opera, and other browsers, Chromium, and other set of browsers too. So you can go to this getbootstrap.com website. I'll just go through this so you can just see this is this is documentation. Get Bootstrap. You can download. Here the download option is there. So download this and you can quickly start using this bootstrapping. And you can just very simple thing. If you don't want to download and if you don't want to get those softwares, you can simply provide a link using Content Developer Network (CDN). So you can use the CDN in your script file. You can provide the CDN Content Delivery Networks or Developer Networks. Means the same here. So you can either provide the link and you can use those bootstrappings. So you can give it as a link to your file. You can see you can include the link real style sheet. So there is a bootstrap min. You can go to the 3.3.7 version and you can use it. So whenever you are using bootstrapping for CSS, you have to include the CSS library. If you are using the JavaScript, that will be seeing in the later stage, you have to go for the JavaScript library here. And if you are using for the jQuery, please you have to use the jQueries. So from now onwards, you can include all these three and start practicing your web pages. So let us see how to write that bootstrapping on your web pages now. So we are now having the HTML5 version. So always please remember exclamatory document type as HTML you are going to give it in the beginning of your. May I ask the question now? Last week you were discussing what is the need for specifying that UTF-8 is required. So can anybody answer please? Based on the last week discussion, why do you need to explicitly state your character set to be of UTF-8? Of course, this character set specification is to be given in the head section of your HTML. And the HTML language is given as EN here, and you are specifying it as UTF-8. Can anybody tell me what is this? Why we are giving UTF-8 here, please? Hello, am I audible, please?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So can you please tell me why we need to give the UTF-8 in the HTML head section?
It is a standard followed by every web browser.
It is a standard. If it is a standard followed by every web browser, do you need to explicitly state here? It is a standard. You need not specify it. You need not mention it here, right? My question is why we need to explicitly write here. What is the need for? If it is a standard, every browser is going to understand that this is basically UTF-8 only. Can anybody please? Hello.
Sir, because some character sets are supported by only this standard, and other character sets might be supported by some other standard. So specifying a standard like UTF-8 basically mean telling the browser that we are using this one, and the character sets that may come under this should be displayed.
Of course, I understand your point here. You are giving the if we write the character set to be of UTF-8, it is implied that the browser needs to understand UTF-8. That's what you are giving. Maybe I'll put the question in another way. If you don't write UTF-8 here, what is going to happen?
Sir, I think it takes UTF-8 by default.
Yes, by default it is there, but if you don't write, is there anything harm for your browser, for your web application?
No idea, sir.
Yes. Any other views, please? Which test has given that answer? Of course, he has given the meaning of incorporating when you mention it as UTF-8, incorporating in the web page. What does UTF-8 stands for? Anybody? Can anybody please respond? What does UTF-8 stands for?
Unicode transformation.
So Unicode transformation 8. What is 8 indicates? The number 8
bit.
here.
8 bit.
8 bit.
bytes.
Okay. What does it mean? 8 bit or 8 byte?
8 bits.
Sachin Shah has given that it is an 8 bits one. I think some of you have not understood about the character encoding formats or a character encoding, why we need character encoding. What are the other encoding formats? Do you know? Anyone? Apart from UTF-8? ASCII is, yes, very good. ASCII. So UTF-8 is an advanced version, or ASCII one is the advanced version?
UTF-8.
UTF-8 is advanced. Why it is 8? That's what, again, the same question I'm repeating in another way. So what does ASCII stands for? Let me come from the beginning stage of ASCII. American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So what is the importance, or what is the purpose of that? Come on, yeah. ASCII, everybody knows it.
For every symbol, there will be a number, sir.
For every symbol, for every character,
For every character.
we use it. Yes. So what is the difference between ASCII and UTF then? Why do people do not call ASCII? Why they have given the name UTF? UTF-8, 16, 32. Okay. ASCII uses 7 bits. Okay. I'll give some time for you to explore before the end of today's session. Please try to find out. Okay, anyway, you have your mobile phones, your Google, and everything is there. But our context of this question is on the web page. Why we need to mention it explicitly? If not, what is going to happen? Okay, for coming to the how do we use the Bootstrap? Is designed to be a responsive to mobile devices. We are using this bootstrapping. So whenever you are trying to display something on your web pages or onto your display devices, please, there is something called as viewport. The viewport is nothing but viewing or trying to show you certain things. So that viewport will enable your web page to be rendered with certain width and with certain height or with certain device, and what is the measures on the margins for your display to be having. So this viewport gets adjusted for your bootstrappings, so that those viewports will keep adjusted to the device in which that web page has to be rendered. So that is what internally this is going to happen here for us. Now, the creating a web page with the Bootstrap always requires certain kind of containers. We call it as a container. Contains all those Bootstrap settings, Bootstrap elements that needs to be addressed, or Bootstrap elements that needs to be formatted, those elements of your HTML page. So the container class provides the responsive fixed width containers, and the dot container class provides a full width container spanning the entire width of the viewport. Something like this. You have different types of containers which are not nestable. Please remember, they are not going to be chain process. They are not going to be nested. So if you take an example, a Bootstrap grid system allows up to a maximum of up to means a maximum itself 12 columns across the web page. If you don't want to use all those 12 columns individually, you can group them columns together to create a wider columns of your own divisions. So you can have a column MD. What is MD stands for? Anyone? Column MD12, column MD6, column MD4, column MD4. So let me just come back to this MD. In the next slide, we'll see what is this MD is. So Bootstrap grid system is responsive and the columns will rearrange automatically depending on the output of your screen size. So these MDs and all, please remember the Bootstrap grid system has 4 different classes. The built-in classes, those are XS stands for your mobile phones, SM stands for your tablets, MD stands for your desktop. So your MD implies that that particular web page, when you give a particular information like this, COL hyphen MD, it means this particular number of columns are to be 4, something like this. You are going to have a span of 4. If you are going to have a span of 8, you are going to specify as columns for a desktop to be of 8 like this. So you are specifying the columns, which will be helpful for you to design using this Bootstrap classes. And LG for large desktops. The class above can be combined to create more dynamic and flexible layouts. Let us see one by one example here. So here there is a class called as row. You are defining that class row with certain number of columns. So this is one particular example here, which is having a columns star dot star. So first create a row with the division. That division itself is a row division. Then add the desired number of columns for each row. Column number of the number of stars. So basically note that the numbers in columns should always add up to 12. So totally only the sum of these stars will be equivalent to 12 maximum number of columns that you need to put it onto your web page. So simply a division class row. Inside that you are going to define the number of columns for each division or for each class, and you try to put certain numbers for you to design that web page. This is just one sample notation here. Let us see if you want to design 3 equal columns on your desktop. If you want to see on a desktop, please see here carefully. So the desktop, something like this, we write on the desktop. So we start with our document type of HTML, HTML5, the language is English, and of course this is a Bootstrap grid, for example, and we are setting the character set to be of UTF-8, and we are setting the viewport of your output device. So the width is equal to device width. Whatever the output screen's device width is there, that corresponding value is given to this width value. Initially, scale is going to be 1. That's the default value you set it. So it is just a value to be set here. And of course, you are linking. These 2 are optionals for you at this moment, the JavaScript and the jQuery. But if you're because you're using the CSS, so you need to include the bootstrap.min.css. So using content delivery network, you can put it, or you can using CDN. That's what Max CDN. You can link to those library files, or you can download those library files, store the library files on your local system, and you can use as a reference to your local system itself, local systems libraries. And the next 2 set of libraries, of course, you will come to use in your next week onwards. You'll use the JavaScript. So at that time, again, you'll come back to this, the second link, and of course, the jQuery also will come to the next week. But from time being, remember, we'll keep on adding the links like this to your script files. Now you let us see how these 3 columns are going to be seen. So the div class, you are creating a container class, and that in that container class, you are creating a row, and you are dividing that particular row of those entire container class with your desktop. Since you are using a desktop, you are using MD. So your MD4, the 4 columns are going to be used upon here. So this is how you write the. Of course, if you are using for your tablets, the tablets is going to be used with your SMs. The rest remaining the same. If you are using for the mobile phones, you are using the XS. Let me just show you how this is going to run the bootstrapping on our system. So for the desktop, these are the 3 equal columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, for your tablets, you please run on the tablet. Since I'm running on the desktop, you'll not see the difference here. So when you run it on your tablet and when you run it on your mobile phone, you will see the difference carefully. So this, those are having the mobile phones, the smartphones, you can write your script files These script files, you can run it, and you can check it on your mobile phones, your tablets, and your desktops. So from now onwards, we'll also use your bootstrapping library files for your designing and of course for the development of your web pages. These things, as of now, you can get more examples, of course, from these sources. You can either refer to your W3 schools also. So for today, I just keep this one, and for this week's exercises, already I have posted these exercises on our course page, week 2 assignment 2. So based on the knowledge you have gained so far on HTML, CSS only, use only these two, please, HTML and CSS only. So later you will use your JavaScripts and your jQueries and other things. When you complete the topics, you can put those features on this. But please do submit this once you design. So build a technical documentation page. So this technical documentation page, the technical document can be any technical contents which you like to share with us. You can prepare something like on whatever your technologies that you have learned so far, or any courses that you have learned so far. Build up some technical contents documentation page with your HTML and CSS only. And please do not copy. Once you have been identified with the plagiarism, then it will be dealt very seriously. Please remember that. And another exercise is on the personal portfolio page. So this is basically an extension to this exercise. Already you might have created your web page like this. So you create some more web pages and you please design it properly with your CSS, and of course the bootstrapping should be included now. And also you build a google.com similar page. So it's not exactly google.com. You can put up only a search bar and with certain buttons and other things which is very much similar. Later we will have the functionality how your searching process will take place, and you can further enhance your web applications. So as of now, this is only a designing. So please remember, as and when the technologies have been discussed, so far we have completed HTML, CSS, and of course Bootstrap we started. So you please apply all those features onto your web pages. And I will not explicitly state from now onwards whether that feature should be there, this feature should be there. So based on the features and the technologies that we cover, you need to add accordingly to those exercises. You have to keep building those things step by step. And of course, I have given the week 2 assignment 2. Of course, this will be the next week. Time is given to you. Of course, by next week, you should be able to complete this week 1 and week 2. Because next week onwards, we'll be starting the JavaScript. So that will take another 2 to 3 weeks time for us to cover those JavaScript topics. So at least by next week, we should be able to complete this HTML and CSS. Any queries, please?
Sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, can we add multiple class names in a same tab?
Multiple class names in the same tab. Oh yeah, what is your doubt now?
I mean, sir, you just say in the Bootstrap we can add for the desktop mode or your mobile mode or a.
Yeah. You have to write your web page. If the program is running on the desktop, then obviously the desktop settings should be carried on. If the program is running on the on your mobile phone, the corresponding things has to be set on. You have to prepare your web page entirely with those things. Hello. Yes, please. Am I audible, please?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Okay. Yeah, any other queries, please let me know.
No, sir, no queries.
Dinan, after submission window is closed. Sorry, what is your doubt? One second. After submission window is closed of assessment, if possible, please share the authentic and complete solution on Moodle. The problem of sharing the solution onto that Moodle, I will tell you, most of the people will not have, will not submit on time place. The problem is, if I put the solution, then there is no point in evaluating the for some of the people. So solution is already available, so other people will not submit it. I keep on extending the time so that everybody is able to submit it. If you are having any doubts, please ask the doubts during the interaction session and try to clarify your doubts as much as you can. Of course, the solutions you will come to know. Don't worry, I'll that entirely at the mid of the semester you will come to know solutions for all the exercises. That solutions will be there. But if I now keep posting the solutions, then unnecessarily people will definitely complete that one. They will not be able to submit it on time. I think 10 exercises in a week is sufficient, right? Is it fair enough for you to complete it? Or is it taking more time for you?
Sir, it's taking more time.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
it's quite overwhelming.
Anyway,
A
that's
bit more
why,
time,
see
sir.
here. Yes, that's why I have given you only 3 exercises here for this week. Okay. So what I suggest you is at least in these 2 weeks, you should be complete these 2 weeks exercises. Is it fair enough?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Second one, see, basically this week 2, second one, you already done little bit on your this exercise only. This is just this question number 9A. See, this is basically you have created just one web page here. What I'm asking is you create some more 2-3 web pages for this. Whatever the personal portfolio you want to have it. Some other 2-3 web pages, and you link those 2-3 web pages. This exercise is over. That's all. Okay. And this is only design aspect of HTML and CSS. What we are looking here, we are not writing codes still yet. We are not written any backend processing for those HTML pages. That we will do it in the coming weeks. So this is only design. So don't think that entire functionality should be incorporated in this assignment only. No, it is not the entire functionality place. It is just a design. When I say design, it is just to appearance of your web contents. When I say development, the development includes the functionalities of your web elements to be processed and to be activities should be performed. Am I clear to you, please? Are you having clarity now at this stage?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please tell me any other queries. I am online only. You can just put forward. Just I am muting myself because there are a visitor here. I will just come back to you within a few minutes. Okay.